Welcome to my YouTube channel, Old Man in a Van. Let me go through the purpose of the channel, and then we'll go into some personal history, as this is my first video. Anyways, purpose is a man in his early 60s who's developed a tad of wisdom, I think, over the years. And I'd like to impart some of that, specifically with regards to economics, current events, geopolitics, and internal United States politics. And you may say to yourself, well, why do you have any particular insight that somebody else doesn't? What I've found is most people are parroters. They parrot what they see on memes or on YouTube videos, Rumble videos, whatever, and they don't know their ass from third base, as my father used to say. And I'll talk about him in a second, but when I get into my personal history. But anyways, I want to impart that information and combine it, maybe unlike most people, with fly fishing, mountain biking, and van camping. And I'll do another video obviously later about the old van I built out. But now a little bit about history of me, personal history. I'm in my early 60s, as I said. I grew up in a small, semi-coastal, agricultural town in Central California, Monterey Bay area, and that town was Watsonville. And had a lot of fun there. Can't imagine a better place to have grown up. But my grades in high school suffered as a result of putting emphasis on things I shouldn't have been doing, which is basically partying, drinking, and doing things that young men, young old boys, whatever do. And so I had a little bit of having to make it up kind of stuff getting out of high school. And I went to community college and started to learn to study, get some good grades, and had an opportunity in that my brother, older brother, was a local politician. And he was a county supervisor. And an internship opportunity came up in Washington, D.C. for our congressman, Leon Panetta, who later became chief of staff to Bill Clinton and chief of the CIA. Out of I don't know how many applicants, probably north of 60, 70, they chose a couple, and I was one of them. And I can guarantee it had nothing to do with merit. It had to do with my brother. But that ticket opened a lot of doors for me. And when I was there, I learned a lot about how DC worked. I met a pretty young girl who was interning in that office, and I will not name her name, but she happened to be a prominent United States Senator's daughter. And we dated, and I got some perks to go to be present in Senate chambers when the first woman justice to the United States Supreme Court was confirmed, Sandra Day O'Connor, and other important votes, like when the United States sold 5 early warning radar planes, AWACS planes, Saudi Arabia. I was in the Senate chambers when that happened, when that vote happened. And that, there's a lot of pressure lodged by Israel, the APAC kind of situation, which I'll talk about in later videos, against it. But Reagan got his way, President Reagan. Anyways, back to me, history. Came back, completed community college, transferred to the University of California, Davis, which is not an easy school to get into. I got in and graduated there in '84, political science degree, and figured law school was the best alternative. Applied to maybe 10 applications, 2 of which were accepted. University of Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania and Santa Clara University. I went to Santa Clara because I was going to practice in California. I got accepted to Pittsburgh probably because my dad had graduated there on the GI Bill in 1949. And practiced law after that for 30 years. Which law school, the practice of law, etc., really taught me to hone my thinking. And I was already a little Machiavellian by nature in that I would tend to question things and not always believe the narrative that you're being fed, whether in a classroom setting or through the TV set. What else? Anyways, so I figured based on that and the political blood sort of runs through my family. My great grandfather was mayor of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Joe Barker. And he was a colorful figure. When he got elected, he was sitting in jail for fomenting riots on the streets. Got hauled before the court, threatened the judge that he was going to hang him from the nearest light post when he got out, and that judge left for Ohio shortly thereafter when my great-great-grandfather took office. Anyways, he was a colorful guy. That's about it. That's the purpose. I thought I could impart some knowledge to learn, to discern, to sort of reach behind what's being said and search for and find the truth, at least in my opinion. And everything I will say here forth is obviously just my sole opinion. But I wanted to combine it with nature, camping, van camping, fly fishing, mountain biking, something a little different. And that's probably about that.